Dawn of X allows us to take stock of all the X-Men history that's happened previous, while also moving forward. This new era of X-Men is by far one of the best yet, because it doesn't try to stand apart from the lore, but it also acknowledges everything that has come before it, and everything that will come after it. But that doesn't mean that it's doing the same old same old. If it was, I don't think so many of us would be as excited. Some people even rejoining the world of X-Men and mutants after years of being away and not picking up a single issue of anything X-Men. Dawn of X isn't just amazing because it acknowledges the past, but its true genius is in that it uses that knowledge to create for mutants a new and innovative future. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we get to talk about one of the hottest things happening in the comic book world right now, especially over at Marvel, Dawn of X. For those of you who have yet to get your hands on any of the new Dawn of X series and have missed out on the exciting House/Powers of X series that started this all off, let me get you up to speed. Basically, Magneto and Professor X have decided to come together after getting some info from MOIRA MACTAGGERT about the potential futures of mutant kind. To avoid devastation and utter annihilation, the two leaders must come together, welcoming all mutants, evil or good, to unite under one nation, the nation of mutants, the island nation of KRAKOA. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 10 X-Men Dawn of X biggest changes so far. Without further ado, let's get counting. Number 10. CYPHER. CYPHER was usually a mutant who was resigned to the B or C list in comparison to some of his more famous mutant and X-Men compatriots. His mutant power is that he can translate and understand any language. Recently though, he saw a boost to his powers when it was expanded to include technology and just about everything else to be included as a language, and a language that he could interpret. To CYPHER, fighting styles and architecture are also now languages, and he can even communicate with computers. But on the mutant island nation of KRAKOA, his claim to fame is communicating with the island itself. You see, KRAKOA is sentient and is also itself a mutant. CYPHER helps to communicate and negotiate with the island so that mutants can be safe there and live peacefully on that island. At one point, CYPHER travels to space briefly, and KRAKOA immediately starts having problems that the Quiet Council, who rule on KRAKOA, struggle to solve. So he's pretty valuable now. Number 9. Kitty Pryde. For some reason, while everyone else can pass through the Krakoan gates, Kitty cannot. She can't actually access the island via these gates, which for some reason don't seem to recognize her as a mutant. This baffling mystery has really messed with Kate's head, and even inspired her to reinvent herself. Revitalized with a new purpose, she becomes the Red Queen of the Hellfire Trading Company, the captain of the ship the Marauder, and sets sail to help the interests of the Hellfire Trading Company and also free oppressed mutants around the world whose government are preventing them from fleeing to the mutant nation of KRAKOA, where all mutants are welcome. Not only does Kate's look change, but she also prefers to be called Captain Kate Pryde in this dawn of a new mutant nation. There's also some other crazier things happening with her, but spoilers. Number 8. Marauders. As we just discussed, Kate's ship is called the Marauder, and guess what her crew is called? Yep. Kate decides to repurpose the formerly vile name often associated with Mr. Sinister's evil crew of goons before the Nasty Boys existed, and with the Mutant Massacre, which took out most of the Morlocks. If you think it isn't possible to redeem a name so tainted in mutant history, you'd be wrong. Trust me, if you read the Marauder series, you'll see what I'm talking about, and quickly fall in love with Kate's team, as I have. Now, when people say Marauders, I think of the mutant saviors and pirate-esque team before anybody else. Number 7. TECHNO-VIRUS. For those who haven't read the Jean Grey and Emma Frost Giant Size, first of all, you need to. It's got stunning art by Russell Dodderman and vibrant colors by Matthew Wilson. It might actually be the most beautiful comic of the year, despite being released in February, so we still have a lot more year to go. But you also need to check out this comic because some important stuff goes down in it. Jean and Emma are forced to team up and enter Storm's mind in order to find out what is wrong with her. She's not feeling too well. It turns out that Storm is infected with the techno-organic virus. How she got it we don't quite know yet, but what we do know is this virus is attacking Storm so aggressively that she's only given 30 days left to live. It will likely be up to her own willpower and her friends, the X-Men, to help save her. But will they succeed? And if she is taken over by the techno-organic virus, will we ever see her return to her former self? Number 6. Return of Dracula. The newest Wolverine gave us 2 stories. Both were amazing, but one was particularly interesting as it reintroduced another big bad for the X-Men, vampires, and more specifically, Dracula. Dracula has been pretty quiet for some time, but he and his vampire citizens are back, and it looks like he's got a pretty devious plan up his sleeves. Dracula teamed up with Wolverine villain Omega Red, who he is using to spy on the mutants and KRAKOA. In exchange, Omega Red gets control of the carbonadium synthesizer again, which allows him to control his life energy and his powers. At least, he sort of gets control of it. There is a detonator hidden inside, which Dracula reveals to Arcady as sort of a form of collateral for the vampire. This isn't even the most shocking revelation though. We discover that Omega Red was also in league with Dracula to help the vampire nation by helping him acquire Wolverine's blood. What did Dracula want Wolverine's blood for? Well, apparently because it grants him the power to walk unharmed in the daylight. That's a game changer. Number 5. The drugs. How did the island nation of KRAKOA barter for recognition and peace among the other established countries of the world? With life-saving and extending drugs, which are made from Krakoan flowers native to the island and grown by it. In exchange for these human-aiding and healing drugs, many countries of the world have chosen to acknowledge and work with, or simply tolerate, the mutant nation. These drugs, however, are also somehow being smuggled by a more insidious group, an enemy of the mutant nation known as the Flower Cartel, who use the flowers to also make a powerful hallucinogenic drug. But we don't know a ton about them just yet. Number 4. The enemy of my enemy. While mutants have all decided to set their differences aside and come together to unite against all who would oppose them, their enemies, it seems, are doing the same thing. In fact, despite them dissolving mutant enemies who would work against them, the X-Men and all of mutant kind now have somehow even more powerful enemies. New enemies have appeared on the horizon: Xeno, Horticulture, a new version of Hominis Verendi, Order of X, and the Flower Cartel. But we are also seeing tons of old enemies and old allies of mutants come together to try and keep the mutant nation in line and develop weapons in preparation for a potential human versus mutant war. With one of their greatest threats being Orcus. Orcus has been built out of funding from organizations such as SHIELD, AIM, Strike, SWORD, Hammer, Hydra, and even Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight, how could you? They aim to construct a mother mold to use in the upcoming war. Number 3. The laws of KRAKOA. With the nation of KRAKOA came the Quiet Council. The Quiet Council as a collective rule the nation and decide how it should best be governed. It doesn't seem like there is any one head for their government, but rather 5 groups who each contribute equally and potentially are responsible for different areas of governance. Together, the 12 members created the laws of KRAKOA that all mutants who belong to the nation must live by or risk being severely punished. They are as follows. Make more mutants, a rule that many have interpreted as likely to refer to lots of sexy times happening on the island nation, off panel. Murder no man, which applies no matter where in the world you travel as a mutant, though mutants can still harm or maim man, just no outright murder, that's not allowed. And respect this sacred land, because, you know, KRAKOA is alive, and also the mutants have worked hard to bring this whole thing about, so need to respect that. For breaking these laws, you will be banished and isolated deep, held in the depths of the nation, unable to move or see anything but darkness. At least, that's what happened to Sabretooth. It's like something out of a Junji Ito story. Ugh. Number 2. MOIRA MACTAGGERT. MOIRA ended up being the key to Charles and Eric joining together and setting out to build this nation. The 3 of them together are in essence kinda like the founders of KRAKOA. But how did MOIRA know what she knew? Well, it turns out that MOIRA, long known to be a human ally and lover to Charles Xavier, has actually been a mutant this whole time. I know, what a reveal, what a retcon! But actually a really great retcon, I gotta say. MOIRA's mutant power is reincarnation. However, her powers only allow her to live her own life through again with the previous knowledge of her former ones. Still, this gives MOIRA the experience and past knowledge to know how best to ensure the survival of the mutant race, and of those that she's loved. If you want to learn more about MOIRA's newly revealed mutant powers, check out issue 2 of House of X. Also just read all of House of X. Also just read everything. Number 1. The 5. Probably one of the biggest things to happen in Dawn of X thus far is we've learned that no mutant can ever really die. Well, probably. Well, almost. The 5 are a group of mutants who are able to combine their powers and, with the help of Professor X, who keeps imprints of all mutants' memories in Cerebro, it's kinda creepy, resurrect any fallen mutant. What does this mean? Mutants we lost years ago all get to come back and join in on the fun, and anyone who dies likely won't be dead for long. This gives the mutants of KRAKOA great power, but also causes the members of the Five, Tempest, Hope Summers, Elixir, Proteus, and Egg, formerly known as Gold Balls, to be considered as both very important and very precious in this new world, as if one of them should fall, that would end this astounding power over life and death that mutants now have. What do you think of the Dawn of X relaunch? Are you a fan of the new direction Jonathan Hickman and his team is taking the mutants in? What series from Dawn of X are you currently reading or have read, or are you most looking forward to? And what do you think will be the downfall of KRAKOA? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.